For those that don't know, my name is Stuart Schlossman. I'm president and founder of MS Views and News. I too have multiple sclerosis. That's how all of this began years ago. For those that don't know, this is an MS Views and News educational program. We lead currently the United States with all the other organizations and many other companies and communities in providing rural and underserved communities with information about multiple sclerosis. And the information is, it's resources, it's information about the medications, it's about the symptoms. You'll be hearing about a lot of this today. We have a lot of different supporters. We have EMD Serono and Sandoz and Biogen, Genentech, Banner Life Sciences, Novartis, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Sanofi. And the reason why we have all these supporters is because they want us to be able to get out and about in the United States and providing these programs in the areas that we are providing. Also today, at today's program, exhibiting, we had Alexion, Bristol-Myers Squibb, Banner Life Sciences, Janssen, and the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, which I'm very, very glad that they are here today as well. There's somebody that's here in the audience today and who did, excuse me, a great job helping me to promote today's program. And without him, we couldn't have done that. So I wanted to thank him for being here. Scott. This is Scott Bentz, all right? And Scott went around to different physical therapy centers for us in the area. He went around to the different hospitals. He went trying to promote this program as best he could in various places. And no, I'm not going to cry. I'm losing my voice again, all right? And I wanted to thank Scott for doing this. And I'm not going to cry, but I am losing my voice. So Scott, thank you very much for doing this. I wanted to give you the recognition. I hope others in the area do so as well. And I need water. All right. Excuse me. Thank you, Scott. Our first presenter is Emily Blosberg. And I've come to know Emily over the years, and I'm really, really amazed at the work that she does for the pediatric MS community, for his kids camp that she has. So let me just tell you, Emily Blosberg is from, and I'll screw this up one way or the other, is from Menominee, something like that, Wisconsin. She was diagnosed with MS when she was 15 years old. Since she was diagnosed at such a young age, she had trouble finding other people her age living with multiple sclerosis. Emily created a nonprofit organization to help other kids around the world and find connections and help those other pediatrics find connections with each other. But Emily, she took on this thing about a sock monkey, which she's going to speak to you about after. She's going to fit this into her story, and I'm just going to let her take it away because I'm about to lose my voice again. Thank you, Emily. Come on up.
Well, thank you, Stuart. I won't cough, I hope. Well, hi, everybody, and hi to everybody online. Thank you so much for joining us today. As Stuart said, my name is Emily Blosberg. I am from Menominee, Wisconsin, and I was diagnosed with MS when I was 15 years old. I'm 26 now, so I've been living with MS for 11 years, which is a lot of years for someone my age. My dad was diagnosed with MS when he was 30, so I've grown up with MS in my family my entire life, and I've grown up in the MS community. I started volunteering with the MS Society when I was 2 years old. From the day that I could hold a pom-pom in my hand, I was at the finish line cheering people on as they were crossing. Whether it was on a bike event or a walk event, we were always there cheering them on. I want to ask everybody, and we can just shout things out, what is some of your hobbies? What do you like to do? Camping. Camping's a great hobby. What are some other hobbies out here? Bicycling, walking, fishing, traveling, wonderful. Scrapbooking, awesome. Well, one of my favorite hobbies is knitting. I learned how to knit when I was 6 years old. I made my first sweater, the stripy rainbow one, when I was 7. If I ever didn't have knitting needles in my hand, something was wrong. My teachers at school had to get used to me knitting during class. They just had to be okay with it because it was what I would do. You can see I'm sitting in my room, crocheting. These projects along the bottom of the screen, those are all things that I made last winter. I made 3 sweaters, a stocking, a few blankets. It's what I like to do. But my knitting had to stop when I was 14. I was getting ready for school one day, and I looked at my mom and I said, my hand feels kind of numb. It feels like I'm wearing a glove on my hand. And she said, well, that's weird. Let's keep an eye on it and see what happens. Put him down. And I actually stayed home from school that day because we just didn't really know what was going on. Well, I ended up going to the hospital the next day to try to figure out what was going on. I went to a few different doctors and they said, maybe you slept on it funny. I don't know. Okay. I had an MRI done, but I had orthodontic braces at the time. So it was just this giant reflection out of my mouth covering my entire brain scan. So it was pretty much a worthless scan. So they said, well, there's probably nothing on there anyway. Boy, were they wrong. I was getting ready to go back to school a couple weeks later, and I said, Mom, my face feels cold. She said, well, let's stay home from school again today. Okay. I ended up back in the hospital that evening because my entire body felt like, you know that feeling when your foot falls asleep? That's what I was feeling from head to toe. And then I started getting vertical nystagmus. So my eyes were jumping like this. Think of the televisions that were out of tune, the scrolling television, you were just seeing the same image scrolling up and down the screen. That's what I was seeing for 7 days straight. I was on steroids. I had several doctors and nurses and students come try to figure out what was going on with me. I was 14 years old. What could be going on with a 14-year-old? And I was at a teaching hospital, so the students kind of liked it because it was a mysterious case that was going on. But with that, my skin was so sensitive to touch that the yarn running across my fingers as I was knitting was painful. And I had to stop knitting. So think about all those hobbies that you guys all shouted out, not being able to do those anymore. That's what I was feeling at 14. However, a friend of mine, not too long before this, had showed me how to make sock monkeys. Oh, here's me in the hospital when I was, I think that was my second stay in the hospital getting steroids. I should point out, too, my brother's birthday party was held in the hospital. My sister, who is over here, helped set up a whole birthday party for him so that we could all be celebrating together. Jessica giving me one of my injections. Everybody in the family learned how to give me my injections. We also had learned because of my dad. My dad, as I said, was diagnosed with MS before I was, and so we all kind of knew how to do it. I'll come back to the monkey. So when I was diagnosed with MS, I felt alone. I felt like nobody else my age understood what was going on. Because how could they? MS is for adults, right? Kids don't get MS. That's what they say. I went to the MS Society, and I asked, can you connect me with all the other kids in the area that have MS? And they said, we'd love to. But we don't know of anybody else your age living with MS. It wasn't until a year later that Krista from the MS Society connected me with a girl from Sioux Falls. And so we connected online right away. It was great. We were the same age. We had a connection. We could talk about everything and anything. We didn't have to explain our MS to each other. It was wonderful. There were a couple of other young adult or teenagers in Sioux Falls that they were all going to the same doctor, and so they all kind of met each other. And it was great. And they were all on a group chat, and there was one, I think it was a Thursday. They said, hey, let's meet up at IHOP for breakfast on Saturday morning. See if we can get together. So I went out of my bedroom, and I went over to my dad, and he said, hey, Dad, what are you doing this weekend? I said, why? Do you want to go to Sioux Falls with me? Let's just go out for breakfast in Sioux Falls. So we drove to Sioux Falls, and we met up with these other teenagers at IHOP. And I tell you, it was so incredible to meet these other teenagers in person. And as I said, with the conversations that I had with the first teenager, we didn't have to explain anything to each other. We could just be ourselves. And MS was on the side. None of our other friends understood the way that we understood each other in that weekend. That feeling of meeting those other teenagers, I felt like there must be other kids and teenagers out there who are feeling the loneliness that I felt and want to feel this connection that I'm feeling with these other teenagers. So I put a map on my bedroom wall. I'm 16 at this time. I put a map on my bedroom wall, and every time that I found a teenager or a child that has an MS diagnosis or a similar diagnosis, I put a pin on that map. And when I found points on the map that were close to each other, I connected those individuals and said, I found someone in your area. Would you like me to connect you so you have someone near you who you can connect with? And so this was originally a map that was on my bedroom wall, but I've since made it a digital version so that it's a little easier to update. This map is actually a map of kids that I connect with personally very regularly now. So now we'll go back to the monkey. When I had to stop knitting, a friend of mine had taught me how to make sock monkeys. And so I was making sock monkeys. I was making them for fun, and then I was making them as a fundraiser, and I was selling them, and I was donating the money. And there was one day I just, I was going through Fleet Farm, and I found this orange pair of socks, and I was like, you know what? I haven't made a monkey for myself in a while. I'm gonna make an orange one for myself. And so I made this guy. And I named him Oscar. I should tell you though, there's a little bit of an argument on who actually named Oscar. The way that I remember it is that I went out to my family and I said, this is Oscar. The way that my dad remembers it is that I went out to my family and I said, who is this? And my dad said, that's Oscar. So I don't know if I named him or if my dad named him, but one of us named him, and this is Oscar. I started bringing Oscar to different MS Society events. If I put him here, is that going to screw you up? All right, let's see if he stays. Maybe. There we go. All right, so I started bringing him to different MS events. And someone said, you should make a Facebook page for Oscar so people can follow what Oscar is doing. Cool, yeah, I'll do that. So I made a Facebook page. And then people started asking if they could have Oscar visit him. No, because he's mine. I want to make sure that I have Oscar back, so you can't have him. Instead, though, I started making Oscar's buddies. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here again. I started making Oscar's buddies, and these are a smaller version of Oscar. They're all handmade, and I send them to kids and teenagers and kids at heart who all have MS or support someone with MS. To date, we've sent about 600 of Oscar's buddies worldwide. These are just some of the kids who have received them. Originally, this was our primary program. This served as a way of kids being able to see another kid with MS because this other kid has one of Oscar's buddies. So I have something in common with them. They might not have to meet in person, might not be able to meet in person, but they have that online connection of seeing the photos of each other with their buddies. And so it made them feel a little bit less alone, which was great. We had to get a little bit more official. We registered as a nonprofit organization in 2016, and that was when Oscar the MS Monkey was started. We started with buddies, which originated from our map. But as we moved forward with our buddies, I was having lots of connections with these kids and their families, and they said, we want to meet each other in person. Can you make that happen? I said, well, sure. Let's have a family camp. We had our first family camp in 2018. We had 4 families, 13 people, and they came from Iowa, Iowa, Minnesota, New York, and Louisiana. And the parents were able to connect with each other, the MS kids were able to connect with each other, and the siblings were able to connect with each other. Each of them had a perspective that they shared with other people in this group. And they walked away feeling like this was a new community, a new family that they had been wanting, and they finally had it. We doubled in size the next year. We had 6 families and 25 people. And the year after that, we had 48 people and 13 families. Again, we're spreading more and more, drawing from more and more states around the country. I should also note that we don't charge for our families to attend these programs. It's a weekend. We charge $25 just to hold their spot, but everything else is covered through sponsorship and private donations, because we don't want to add to the financial burdens that they already have due to their medical expenses and such. So we had our family camp. We also started attending different MS conferences to teach people about Oscar, and most importantly, to teach people that kids do get MS. It's not just an adult disease. All of these kids are proof of that. Every single one of these kids has MS. It's not just adults. And when we were at these conferences, we had doctors coming up to us and saying, kids don't get MS. What are you talking about? You've got this whole booth here saying the kids, and yes, they do. All those pictures prove it right there. My family has been attending these conferences with me, and I am so grateful for them. They've learned everything about Oscar. They've been really involved in all of our programs. They're all here. Most of my family's here to support the Oscar presentation as well. So thank you, guys. And this was us at one of our conferences just a few months ago, again, teaching people about the fact that kids do get MS. After we had our family camp, the teenagers within the camp said, we want to get together again. All right, well, let's make that happen. So we had our first teen camp in 2019, and we had 25 teenagers from across the country attend that. And Stuart was one of our first sponsors for our teen camp. So we are very grateful to MS Views and News for sponsoring our teen camp program. We've grown every year. We had a little bit of a hiccup with COVID, of course, but we did still have camp during the COVID pandemic, but we did it virtually, which is the photo at the bottom of the screen. We had 44 participants in our virtual camp. And these kids were able to connect with each other online, and we actually had some attending internationally. This past year, just about a month ago, we had teen camp in person, and we had actually 2 international campers with us this year, which was really exciting. And again, this program is offered just at a very, very reduced rate so that our kids don't have to have that added financial burden. All of these kids are incredible. The first night of camp, I asked them, what is MS? These are the words that they give me. How many of you can relate to these words that you see on the screen right now? Unnerving, painful, crazy, lonely, tired, hard, rare, misunderstood, mystery, hardship, frustrating, complicating, disabling. So many words to describe MS, and these are the words that our kids gave us the first night of camp. I'm going to ask for our volunteers to come up to the stage. I want to show you something, one of the activities that we do at camp to help our teenagers understand what their MS is. Now, this is an activity, come on up. This is an activity that we do at all of our camp programs. It's an activity that we do at school events. Here you go. You're just going to put these blindfolds on. So this takes a little bit of setting up here, so pardon me for a second. Huh? I can do it. Are we still within the screen? No, you got to stay on stage. So this is how we explain what MS is. And I encourage you to take this activity into other parts of your life and explain MS in the same way. So Jessica, I'm gonna give you your tube. These guys have all done this before, so they know what we're doing. Except him, he hasn't done it before. All right, so Mike, here's your tube, make a fist. I'm gonna move you just a little bit that direction. You're gonna make a fist with this hand and put it into this right there. Perfect, make sure you're not touching hands. I'm gonna do one on your other hand as well. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna start with Jessica over here on the end. She's gonna be our brain. She's gonna send a signal all the way down the line until Zach, who is our foot, gets the signal. Can we see Zach's foot? Everybody see that? Or should we change our brain and foot? Or we can do a hand instead. So they're gonna send the signal by doing a fist bump down the line. So I'll tap Jessica to give her, the brain, the signal. All right, so Zach got the signal. Awesome, let's do it one more time just so we can see that. Awesome. All right, so now I'm gonna have everybody drop their arms. Make sure they drop the tube. Put your arms back up. All right. Zach, you're a little too close. Let's see if I can move you forward just a little bit. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing, but we don't have those tubes anymore. So here's our signal. We'll do it one more time. All right, our signal got to our hand. Awesome, thank you guys. You guys can take your blindfolds off. And go ahead and take a seat again. Thank you. So what did you notice about the first time we did that activity? Was it faster? Yeah, it was faster. Why was it faster? The tubes helped the fist bump, absolutely. But when we took these tubes away, what happened? They couldn't find the connection. It was a little slower. It was harder to get the signal from the brain to the foot. This is myelin. So just like the nerves in our brain, our central nervous system, when that myelin is taken away, it's harder for the signal to get from the brain to the foot. So when we take that myelin away, it's much more difficult for the signal to get from the brain to the foot. During our camps, we do this program, or this activity as well. We show everybody how MS works in their body. We have a number of other activities educating them on how MS affects their body and how they can advocate for themselves. And we empower them to be strong advocates for themselves and for others. And so by the end of camp, I asked them the same question. What is MS? And since they've received this education and they have this stronger understanding of what their MS is, this was only one example of our activities. I asked them the same question. And these are the words they give me. Community, friendship, mindset, challenge accepted, fun, courage, relationships, inspiring, accepting. It's amazing how your perspective can change your whole attitude of something that you're facing for your entire life. So I encourage you, everybody in this room and everybody online, I encourage you to take this image here and look at your MS from this perspective. What are the positives that have come out of your MS diagnosis? For me, I've met some incredible people, and it's opened up so many opportunities for me to grow as a person, and it's given me direction in my life. I've gotten to meet all of my kids from across the world because I see MS as a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anybody in the audience have any questions for Emily? All right. She wants to know, How are you going to improve and get more people to attend kids camp?
You know, we have a number of ways that we're getting the information out about our camps. I have a Zoom call that I do every other week with our teenagers across the world. We have someone involved from Iceland and Canada and Spain and England and mostly the United States, but a lot of our kids hear about our camp programs through online platforms, and then they get involved with our Zoom calls and they meet each other on these Zoom calls and they say, I want to meet you in person. I want to be involved in attending your camp programs. So we make it happen. We want everybody to have that community and have that support. And we're expanding in as many ways that we can. We have a college scholarship program that we started a couple years ago. We were able to award 8 scholarships this year, which was fantastic. And we don't have any credit requirements for our scholarships, because we know that school can be very exhausting. And so even if they're taking one class and furthering their education, we want to support them. Because whatever you can do to move forward, we're here to support you, which is our whole mission is supporting our kids and providing those opportunities for them to understand their MS and grow as a person and as a community.
Okay, great. Got a couple of them online for you, all right? First one, actually now there's another one. Person just wrote, Patricia writes, would you be able to send some of your activities? I live in an MS ignorant location and would like to spread the word to our providers and community.
We would love to, absolutely. I'll send contact information to Stuart and he can send on your contact information as well.
That's great. Thank you. Next one, Emily, you're an awesome young lady. I'm very proud of your outreach for MS. There you go. Came out on too many lines. Well, that person just wanted to congratulate you on everything that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
And then another person asks, what is the accessibility like at your programs?
We make sure that accessibility, we want camp to be accessible to everybody. So all of our programs, all of the activities that we do at our programs are MS friendly. We have the facility that we use is 100% accessible. The activities that we do, they're either inside in the air conditioning or they're outside in the water because we know that heat is a big issue for our teenagers and we don't want that to limit their ability to participate in activities.
Okay, and also, is it at the same location every year?
Our teen camp currently, yes. We are in River Falls, Wisconsin, but our campers fly into Minneapolis, St. Paul Airport. It's about a 40-minute drive, but we have transportation that the campers are provided from the airport to our camp location. Our family camp is located in Minneapolis, but as we grow, we do anticipate spreading to other locations across the country. We've been doing activities prior to COVID. We're going to start ramping them up again. We've been doing activities which are called an Evening with Oscar, and it's just a 4 or 5 hour event that's a very condensed version of our camp and more for a local community to get together and have that same community experience.
Okay, great. And then Patricia writes again, she would want me to tell you, you're an amazing person. You had the drive and the willingness to support and create educational opportunities. I'm so proud of you and your family. Great, great job.
Well, thank you, Patricia.
Okay.
I have 2 questions, actually. The first is, each pinpoint on your map, is that one person or is that several people?
That is one person, but you'll notice that there are some that are kind of grouped together. That might be where a clinic is located, and so the doctor has heard about us and the doctor has sent our information to their patients. So you can see, like in Colorado, there's a big pediatric MS clinic there, and so several of the patients who go to that clinic have become involved with Oscar.
And my second question is, how do you get funded?
We get funded through private donations, through sponsorship, and grants. It originally started, I'll take you back a few years, it originally started because I wanted this to happen. I got a job telling my story about having MS, and I was traveling the country telling my story, and the pay that I was getting from that I was using to fund these programs. So it was originally it was funded by me, but then as we have grown and as we've gotten amazing partners like MS Views and News, we've now started getting sponsorship and grants, and we are always very excited when we get private donations as well. So Stuart was the first one to give us a sponsorship. So as I said, we're very grateful to MS Views and News.
Thank you.
I just want to throw the information out there. In the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota, there's a place called meetingtheneed.org, fully accessible camping right outside of Keystone, so it's in the, you can almost see Mount Rushmore from there. Just so you know. It's a beautiful place.
I'll have to take a look at that for a camp
awesome.
program. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Emily, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you so
much. Great
much.
information. Emily's always welcome to speak at our programs.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Kathleen O'Donnell. And as I mentioned earlier, Kathleen O'Donnell is the president of the Upper Midwest chapter of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. She joins us today to tell us about the Sioux Falls Community Council, the Society's community engagement work and opportunities for you to get involved locally while driving change globally. She will also share updates on society resources and impact in the areas of affordable, accessible healthcare, pathways to cures, and information and support to empower people affected by multiple sclerosis to live their best lives. Kathleen brings to our discussion over 30 years in nonprofit leadership, in education, fundraising, board relations, professional development, resources, and community engagement. She has worked in the P20 school system, philanthropy, public media, professional associations, and now the Multiple Sclerosis Society. Let's welcome Kathleen O'Donnell. I put on my glasses. Thank you.
So wonderful to be here. Thank you, Stuart. And I just want to say thank you again to Emily. The Blosbergs have a very special place in our heart as members of the society because the society is people, right? It's people with wonderful ideas who are passionate about the movement and just grateful for the work that you've done all these years. We're in a different place now, right? That kids do get MS, and it's important to continue to educate the world that kids get MS, including doctors and professionals. So thank you. So to understand where we are today, I just wanted to give you a little bit of history. So for those of you who don't know, in 1945, a woman named Sylvia Lowry was frustrated at the symptoms her brother Bernard was experiencing. Sylvia put an ad in the New York Times asking if anyone, she said, multiple sclerosis, will anyone recovered from it please communicate with patient? She got 50 replies of people sharing similar frustrations, and in 1946, the MS Society was born. This is a movement by and for people who live with MS. We are the people. We do have staff, but we are the people in the movement. And the essence of what we do is coming together as community. And it's really important that I loved the full circle, Emily, of your story about it starting here in Sioux Falls. How cool was that, right? That first person. But being in community is really, really important, and we want to make sure that everyone feels welcome in the society, no matter where they live, no matter who they are, and so we actively work to embrace those differences and thread community together. What I want to talk to you about today, I want to help people understand a little bit about our society's vision and strategic plan. We have a new strategic plan, and how community engagement fits in that plan. I'd love you to understand the Upper Midwest chapter's vision for community engagement and for community councils and how that fits. Love you to consider your place in the MS movement and give you some snapshots of opportunities to get involved. Those we presented a couple weeks ago in the Black Hills. Loved hearing about that campsite. I'm going to let my Black Hills Community Council know about that. So yeah, for sure. And so we'll tell you a little bit about what's happening here in Sioux Falls. So who gets MS? First of all, the Society commissioned a study that led us to confirm that nearly 1 million individuals in the United States live with MS, and that's more than 2 times the original number that we thought. Most of you here in the room are familiar with MS, but we do talk to people about, when people are generally diagnosed, which is earlier now than ever before because we understand it. MS is more common in women than men. People have always thought that MS was kind of a disease of white Northern European folks, and that is not the case. We're discovering more and more with our research that MS is prevalent in all races and cultures. People in the African American community are at higher risk for developing MS than we used to think. And it's a prevalence really tells us that we have a lot of people left to reach, and that increasing awareness is really, really a critical part of what we do, so that we don't waste time for people who are having symptoms to have to go to multiple people and say, well, it's nothing, just go home, you're under stress, relax, right? So that's the kind of work that prevalence study impacts and compels us to get out there, increase awareness and engagement. So this is our relatively new strategic plan. We have 4 impact areas: improving access to affordable, accessible healthcare, empowering people. I loved when you used that word, Emily. Empowering people impacted by MS to live their best lives and to meet everyday challenges. So we want to give people the tools and resources to do that. We want to strengthen the MS movement through more and deeper connections, which the community councils play a big role in. And then we want to accelerate cures through global consensus. I will tell you that we added the word cure to our mission statement very, very recently for the first time. So our vision remains a world free of MS, and our mission is that we will cure MS while empowering people affected by MS to live their best lives. That is how confident we are that we are closer to a cure than ever before. There's been more research done in the last 5 years than in the previous 70 years of the foundation of the society's existence. That is really compelling. The society, our society kind of sits in this international federation, and we're the largest in that group, and we just arrived at global consensus on the most promising pathways to cures. And we say cures because MS, as you all know, is different for everyone. And so we're really excited about that global consensus because it allows us to channel where we support and accelerate that research. So the way we do our work, as I mentioned, we're kind of leading the world in that consensus around research. We have a program that I'm particularly proud of called the MS Navigators. And for those of you who stopped by our table, there's a whole bunch of these cards that look like this. They're like little trading cards that I hope you grab some and take some, because I still think a lot of people don't know what our MS Navigators do. They are there to help people who live with MS, or people who care about people who live with MS, or people who want to know more about MS, to get the resources that they need. And we do that in a number of ways that I'll go through in a minute, but they're there to do everything from help a newly diagnosed person just have somebody to talk to say they're overwhelmed. Where are their resources? Where can they get more information? We do provide financial assistance to folks. We get them connected to support groups. We help them if they're having trouble at work. We have a whole workforce team that can help people figure out how to disclose what are their accommodations at work. We do housing discrimination work with people. They are really amazing folks. And so I would encourage you to take some of these for yourself, but also to give to other people. Our education resources and support come in all kinds of packages. There's self-serve stuff on our website. We have one of the most up-to-date, accurate information sources that everybody from patients to clinicians use. We do workforce development and provider engagement. So we work with healthcare professionals to help them stay current on the things that are happening in MS, to support them in getting certification that's special to serving people with MS. And then we provide scholarships and fellowships to people to go into the field to support people who live with MS. Finally, one of the other really impactful areas of work that we do is advocacy. I'll tell you a little bit in a little bit about the work that just happened to pass some really impactful legislation that will change the trajectory of the high cost of prescription drugs, which has been a big priority of the society. So this Pathways to Cures, it's worth its own workshop. We can do that another time. But the areas that we're focusing on, we try to articulate those pathways in terms of stopping MS, restoring lost function, and ending MS forever. So the earlier we can get diagnosis for people, the quicker they can get on disease-modifying therapies and do lifestyle things that can help stop the progression of MS. Some of the research we're doing, looking at zebrafish, right, and remyelination. So that's a whole field of research we do to restore lost function. Similar in the lifestyle, exercise, those areas of research, we're showing that people can restore lost function. And eventually we'll be able to have people who are at risk for MS know that they are at risk for MS, and our definition of ending MS forever is that they never get any symptoms, right? They know what those biomarkers are, and we're able to intervene way upstream. So I'm really excited about the Pathways to Cures work that we're doing. Improving access to personalized, affordable, and high-quality health care really remains an important part of what we do. I mentioned our workforce development, increasing MS knowledge in the workforce. We have a whole effort around serving community neurologists. There are a lot of people seeing community neurologists, particularly in rural areas, who are not connected to the MS Society at all. So they're not getting that information through on the latest research, all of that stuff. And so that's a big priority we have, to make sure that community neurologists across the country are connected to the society. And then we want to really invest in research to get under some of those barriers, right? And I think there's plenty of barriers to perception that you talked about, Emily, about people still thinking that kids don't get MS. What are the racial and cultural barriers or geographic barriers that people have? I heard somebody earlier talking about having to drive 2 hours just to see a neurologist that has a specialty in MS. So that's some of the work that we do. So I'm really proud to talk about, you've probably been hearing a lot about this in the news. So the Inflation Reduction Act, where it's going to have a profound impact over time on the high cost of prescription drugs and affordable, accessible health care. So we have a group of people, volunteers, that sign up to be a part of our MS Activist Network. There's a little handout out there. You get action alerts for opportunities to tell your story to people in positions of power. The current median annual price of disease-modifying therapy is nearly $94,000, and I'm preaching to the choir here, right? And prices have continued to rise since 1977. So it's been a key area of our advocacy work. Since 2016, more than 2,000 legislative meetings were held. People just like you going to tell their story to people in positions of power. 10,000 emails were sent to Capitol Hill, hundreds of videos and tweets, and people talked about their story in op-eds and testimonies and all of that. And we were able to drive change. And I think it's important that the voices of people who live with MS and their families are heard. I'm proud to say that the co-chair of our community council here in Sioux Falls, she's really been pivotal in ensuring that all the Congress people for the state are all a part of the MS caucus. So it doesn't really matter. It's nonpartisan. It's that MS is important, and that's because of those relationships. So just a little bit about our navigators. This basically shows you that we go from kind of self-serve, pointing people to resources that are on our website, to helping people navigate those services and get to support groups or peer connections or additional care that they may need, all the way to case management that we do highly locally. So it doesn't matter where you live. It used to be that if someone lived in a chapter that had money and raised money, those people got stuff. Well, we're one society, and it doesn't matter where you live. We can ensure that you get the resources that you need to live your best lives, and that's really exciting to me. So this is the work we do with professionals. We have MS Partners in Care. You'll hear from Dr. Colquitt in a little bit. The Minneapolis Clinic for Neurology is one of our comprehensive centers, MS Partners in Care. Sanford and Avera here in Sioux Falls are both a part of that professional MS Partners in Care professional network. So we do training, we do continuing education. I told you about our fellowships. We even serve physical therapists, right, to make sure they get the right certification they need to work with people who live with MS. So that's really exciting work. And in our MS Partners in Care clinics, doctors are able to connect people to an MS Navigator directly and seamlessly on our end, and then we channel that back to the physicians so that you feel like you're part of a care team. So a little bit about our vision for community engagement. So the goal of community councils, and they exist for those of you online, there are community councils all across the country, and if you're interested in connecting with one, I'd encourage you to reach out to your local chapter president. There's 31 of us, like me. But we want to make sure that at a local level, that people are creating opportunities to increase awareness, number one, that we're strengthening those community relationships, that people don't think they're alone in a community. They're the only one. And of course, we want to increase revenue when we can, because the revenue goes toward research and programs and services for people who live with MS. So we traditionally have a walk here in Sioux Falls. The community council can go and get additional sponsors, for example, for that walk, or help spread awareness. Our community engagement priorities are really to create and enhance this sense of community presence. Like, I'm in an office in Minneapolis, but the society, remember, is people. It's not bricks and mortar. So how do we have a real sense of community presence? How do we prioritize communities for outreach and engagement to this and align what they're doing to the society priorities? And how do we empower volunteers to propel the MS movement? So our goal for community councils begins by prioritizing communities and territories for outreach. So I started at the society in August of 2019, so I'm 3 years old, and then COVID hit. I got to every chapter. So we're Minnesota, Iowa, North Dakota, and South Dakota. It's a pretty big region, but I'm in the car a lot, and I love getting to different parts of our chapter. That was nipped in the bud during COVID, and so it's wonderful to be back on the road again. Our community councils really want to create and enhance this movement, and we really want people to have impactful, enduring relationships that are local. So that's the work. I launched 4 community councils during COVID, one here in Sioux Falls, one in the Black Hills, one in Des Moines, and one in Fargo-Moorhead. And every council gets to come up with what they want to do, what's important to them, and what are they hearing locally. They're the eyes and ears for me, too, to be able to make sure we're connecting the dots at a local level. So in terms of increasing awareness, so our Sioux Falls Council is mighty. We have 2 co-chairs, Karen Johnson and Michelle Snyders. And over the past year alone, and they've been doing this for about 2 years, they lit up the Arc of Dreams. It was orange. Did anybody notice that during MS Awareness Week, that it was lit up orange? That was our community council that got that done. And that no one should face MS alone was kind of the sign. We had a nice local sponsor who underwrote that, McGuire Iron, so they're building those relationships with local businesses. They were able to get the governor to do a proclamation to support people who live with MS. And then there were lots of news stories. If you just Google, you'll find our community council members, folks who are volunteers talking about MS in the news, doctors from our clinics, Dr. Alchaki, Dr. Freeman, Dr. Fanny. A lot of people have been out there talking, and we work those opportunities with the local news to increase awareness. So coming up here in Sioux Falls, so last night I was at Severance Brewery. They do a lot of public engagement, philanthropy. One of our council members was able to get Severance Brewery to round up purchases all through the month of August to go toward the MS Society. So when people check out and pay their bill for their beer or whatever, it says you want to round up to give to the MS Society, and people can click yes. And so that's been going on all month. It'll go through the end of the month. So if you haven't been to Severance Brewery, tell your friends. And then last night they did bingo and we were the focal point. So I had a table full of information and resources. People came who didn't have any, they lived with MS, didn't have any connections. They introduced to each other. They're like, can't wait to be more involved and to connect with people who know my story, right? Emily was talking about just not having to explain it to people who just get it. So some new folks, and it was really, really fun. It was really fun. In September, so this is a nationwide, it's our first ever, we've done a Black MS Experience Summit online, and we're going to do our first ever Hispanic Latinx Summit online. That's coming up, and you and people you know can participate in that online. It's in September 15th. There's information out there. The council has an in to SuperCon. I don't know if those of you who are into gaming or Marvel Comics, but it's a giant, there's some head nodding, it's a giant gathering here. So one of our council members is a part of that community and got us in. So we're going to have a table there. There is actually a Marvel superhero who has MS. Bonus points for anybody who knows who the character is. If you don't, we can talk about it afterwards. But there is a Marvel character who lives with MS. And then we also have a whole new way to do fundraising, which is through gaming and streaming. And so we're really excited to get a whole new demographic of people connected to the society. If you're interested in volunteering for that or any of the other community council things, be sure to, there's a little sign-up sheet for I want to learn more about, I'm interested in, out there at our table. Again, this year, Culver's will do a roundup from October to December for MS, which is really exciting. MS Awareness Week is in March, to be determined. It's usually first or second week, and I know the council will be doing cool things then. Take one of these. We've set the date for the Sioux Falls Walk. It's going to be March 20th. Lots of opportunities to get involved with that, to volunteer, to do fundraising before and after, to bring friends and family. And then I talked a little bit about the MS Network. So that's kind of my spiel. I just wanted people to know that we have a community council here, and they're very excited to connect people. And people seem to want that connection to others in their community. So any questions for me? Anything on your mind?
Kathleen. Thank you very, very much. Anybody have any questions from the audience? Okay, great. I will be back there in a few minutes. I got a bunch online, and then I'm going to go back there, okay?
Okay, super.
All right. First one is, do you ever use patients that have MS to assist in the Pathways to Cure program?
Yes. So it's really important for people to get involved in research. That's really there's actually a place on our website, and Stuart, I can help you find that and post it, where we want people to get involved in clinical trials. It's really, really, really important. That's how we accelerate research. And it's important to get all kinds of people, not just, right? So you spread the word. We want all kinds of people participating in clinical trials. So we also have an advisory that kind of directs where we spend our research money, and people who live with MS are always a part of that advisory. We want real lived experience to guide where we spend our research dollars. So that was a terrific question.
Great, thank you. Next one is from Nicolette. Please explain anything we can do now to restore lost function. I don't know if that's for you. I think that's more for the doctor. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a doctor question, so put a pin in that. And here's what I would say. If you, we have Pathways to Wellness. It's a series that we do. We also have Ask an MS Expert. Those are available online. They're every Friday. We have special ones in Spanish, special ones for veterans. But we host sessions that are around themes. Our Pathway to Wellness resources and presentations all talk about lifestyle choices and activity and all of those things. And our research is showing that there is a connection to restoring lost function in some of those additional therapies, right, that can be accomplished like through lifestyle choices and exercise and wellness. So I would encourage that person to check out Pathways to Wellness and then speak to their doctor, and maybe Dr. Cockwood can address that a little bit.
Okay, last question from online is, can you help us in a very, very rural community, which is very ignorant in terms of nursing and providers, so that we can spread the word and help providers realize and understand the prevalence?
Yes, we have a whole team that's what they do, is outreach to care providers. And what I would do is say to that person, connect with your chapter president, or just if you go to our website, it'll auto-locate you to your chapter. That person, those people, that's what they do. They reach out to doctors and nurses. They make sure that they're informed. We've had our healthcare advisory even do, one year they wanted to do an emergency room drop of literature, because a lot of times people show up in the ER and they might be experiencing optic neuritis or something, and the people there don't really have a clue about MS. So we have projects that we work on for professional development. Here's an example one. It's called Project Echo. That we've used it. Lots of diseases have used Project Echo as a way to have a hub of expertise that then gets disseminated out, hence the Echo, to all kinds of geographic regions. So we make sure that healthcare professionals are informed, and that's one of the mechanisms for doing that is Project Echo. But the relationships are everything. So if you're seeing somebody or in a healthcare clinic and you feel like there's no connection to the society and no information about MS, let us know, reach out. We'll give you tools to speak to it. We'll make sure that the doctor or the nurse or whoever is connected to our staff that do that all day long, every day. So really good questions. Thank you for that.
All
Any
right.
other questions in the
Next
room?
question in the back.
It's not a real question, but there is an MS support group now in Sioux Falls.
Yes. So
it's the last Monday of the month at, is it 5:30 or 6? It's on the campus of Avera McKinnon. It's Plaza 5 or the Orthopedic Institute building.
oh, and that's the Avera one. Yes, I'm familiar with that. And they also have an exercise program too. They were covered in the news. So thank you for sharing that. And then we're actually starting another support group. I met with the leader this morning. She's very eager to connect with people. She's young. She wants to feel connected. She's going to start another support group. There's one in Laverne, which is a little bit farther away, but those are great resources. Thank you for bringing that up.
You talked about people with MS being involved in clinical studies. Do you have people with MS on your council?
Yes, actually, I'm just trying to think of the people that 1, 2, 3. The majority of people on our community council live with MS, and we also have numerous people on our board who live with MS. It's important, and then we have people who are caregivers of people who live with MS too. Right, so this is the part about who is the community. They define who we are and what we want to do, and it has to be really relevant, right, and meaningful in a local level. So we have people with all kinds of MS, right? Karen is in a wheelchair. She has progressive MS. Other people you wouldn't know, right, which is one of our challenges of MS, right? Sometimes people don't even know that people they know live with MS. So that was a good question. Thank you.
Great, thank you. One question online is, how diverse are your clinical trials in this area?
In this, meaning this geographic area, I don't have information on our clinical trials in this geographic area. I'm sorry, I don't have that. But I will tell you that a part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion work involves partnering with nationwide with organizations to ensure that we get diversity in our clinical trials. They're not as diverse as they can be. There's all kinds of historical reasons why people are nervous about clinical trials, right, depending on what racial or ethnic group you belong to. So we have a lot of work to do in that area, and we're taking it very seriously. I don't have the information right now on what clinical trials are happening in this geographic region, but I know that you can find information about that on our website.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We don't have any more questions, but I do want to thank you for all the work that you've been doing with MS Views and News and helping to, promote this program and the other programs, and we look forward to doing more with you all.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Thanks for the opportunity, Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
And we're going to say good day, have a great one, drive carefully. Bye-bye.